Imagine a secret, a truth so dangerous it could shatter an empire of crime. Imagine the courage it takes to speak that truth, to stand against the shadows. Now, imagine that courage, that truth, that person simply vanishing, gone, without a trace from a place where escape seemed impossible. This is the story of Isabella Vargas, a woman who held the key to bringing down a notorious crime boss, and the baffling mystery of her disappearance from a hotel room she entered, but never seemed to leave. The city of Los Angeles, a sprawling tapestry of dreams and nightmares, was about to witness a trial that promised to shake its underworld to its very foundations. At its heart was the formidable figure of Mateo El Diablo Rojas, a man whose name was whispered in fear, a ghost in the shadows of the drug trade. For years, he had operated with impunity, his network vast, his reach seemingly limitless. But now, a crack had appeared in his impenetrable facade. Her name was Isabella Vargas, a woman of quiet strength and a past shrouded in the very darkness she now sought to expose. She was a former associate, a witness with first-hand knowledge of El Diablo's operations, his money-laundering schemes, his brutal enforcers. Her testimony was the linchpin, the one piece of evidence that could finally condemn him. The federal agents had worked tirelessly, cautiously to secure her cooperation. It was a delicate dance of trust and fear. Isabella knew the risks. She understood the price of betrayal in El Diablo's world. But something, perhaps a flicker of conscience, perhaps a desperate hope for a new life, had compelled her to agree. For weeks she had been held in a secure location, a ghost herself, preparing for the day she would face her former master in court. The day of the trial was set. The city held its breath. And then, just hours before she was due to take the stand, Isabella Vargas vanished. The call came in the dead of night, a frantic whisper from a federal marshal's phone to Detective Thomas Miller's ear. Miller was a man carved from the city's grit, his face etched with years of staring into the abyss of human depravity. He had seen it all, or so he thought. But this case, this vanishing act, felt different. It felt impossible. The hotel, a nondescript establishment on the outskirts of downtown, had been chosen for its apparent banality, its lack of distinguishing features that might draw attention. It was meant to be a temporary safe haven. Room 417, a standard suite, was supposed to be Isabella's final stop before the courthouse. Miller arrived at the scene, the sterile hallway of the fourth floor now a tableau of grim faces and hushed urgency. Federal marshals, their expressions grim, moved with a quiet desperation. The door to room 417 stood ajar, a silent testament to the void within. Miller's gaze swept across the room. It was indeed pristine. The bed was made, the curtains drawn. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no broken glass. The windows were sealed, overlooking a busy street 4 stories below. Even if she had managed to open one, a jump would have been suicidal and certainly not silent or unnoticed. Miller moved to the bathroom, then the closet. Nothing. It was a perfectly ordinary hotel room, now imbued with an unsettling emptiness. They moved to a makeshift command center in an adjacent room, a laptop displaying the grainy, monochromatic world of the hotel's CCTV system. Miller leaned in, his eyes narrowed, searching for the anomaly, the flicker of movement, the subtle hint that would betray the impossible. The footage from the hallway camera showed Isabella Vargas clearly. She walked down the corridor, a small, determined figure, her face obscured by the low resolution, but her posture unmistakable. She stopped at room 407, inserted her keycard, and the door clicked open. She stepped inside. The door swung shut behind her. Timestamp 10:17 p.m. Miller watched the screen for hours, fast-forwarding, rewinding, pausing. He saw the marshals change shifts. He saw the cleaning staff pass by. He saw the occasional guest. But he never saw Isabella Vargas emerge from room 407, not through the door, not even a shadow. The impossibility of the situation gnawed at Miller. In his career, every mystery had a solution, every locked room a key. But this room, room 407, was a paradox. It defied logic, mocked the very principles of physical reality. The pressure mounted with each passing hour. El Diablo's trial was looming. Without Isabella's testimony, the case against him would crumble. Years of painstaking work, countless lives risked, all for nothing. The media, sensing a story of epic proportions, began to circle like vultures. Miller's team, led by his sharp, pragmatic partner, Detective Sarah Chen, began to dissect the hotel's blueprints. They looked for hidden passages, ventilation shafts large enough for a person's secret tunnels. Every inch of the building was scrutinized. They brought in structural engineers, who confirmed the shaft was indeed sealed with brick and mortar. No obvious access point from room 407. Another dead end. Days turned into a week. The initial shock gave way to a grim determination. Miller found himself replaying the footage endlessly, searching for a glitch in the matrix, a trick of the light, anything. He even considered the absurd magic, a supernatural event, but Miller was a man of facts, of evidence. He interviewed the hotel staff, from the front desk clerk to the cleaning crew. Everyone remembered Isabella Vargas as quiet, unassuming. No one saw anything suspicious. No strange visitors, no unusual deliveries. The only person who had been in the room with Isabella, briefly, was a federal agent who had delivered some documents earlier that evening. He swore he had locked the door behind him and that Isabella was alone and calm. The frustration was palpable. Miller felt the weight of the city on his shoulders, the silent judgment of his superiors, the mocking grin of El Diablo, who was surely enjoying this turn of events from his prison cell. One evening, late, alone in the command center, Miller watched the footage again. He focused not on Isabella, but on the door itself, the way it closed, the subtle click. He noticed something minute, almost imperceptible. A slight, almost imperceptible tremor in the door frame, just as the door closed. It was too small to be a draft, too subtle to be a structural flaw. He rewound, played it again, and again. The tremor was there. Barely a ripple, but present. It was the kind of detail most would dismiss as a camera artifact, a trick of the light. But Miller's gut, honed by years of chasing shadows, told him otherwise. He called in a forensic architect, a specialist in building structures and hidden spaces. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a woman with an uncanny eye for detail, arrived the next morning. Miller showed her the footage pointing out the subtle tremor. Dr. Reed, intrigued by Miller's intuition, agreed to examine room 407 with a fresh perspective. She brought specialized equipment, thermal cameras, sonic scanners. They spent hours in the room, tapping, scanning, listening. The thermal imaging revealed nothing unusual. The walls were solid, the floor consistent. But then Dr. Reed's sonic scanner, a device that could detect subtle changes in density and hidden voids, began to emit a faint, high-pitched whine near the closet wall. Miller's heart quickened. This was it. This was the thread. They carefully removed a section of wallpaper. Beneath it, not plaster, but a thin, almost invisible seam. It was a perfectly camouflaged panel, designed to blend seamlessly with the wall. The panel, expertly crafted, led to a narrow, dark passage. It was dusty, unused, a relic of the hotel's original construction, perhaps a forgotten service corridor or a Prohibition-era escape route. The passage snaked through the building's old infrastructure, bypassing the main hallways and cameras, eventually leading to a rarely used service exit in the alley behind the hotel. The revelation was stunning. Isabella Vargas had not vanished into thin air. She had walked out, through a hidden passage, past the very eyes of her protectors, unseen by the cameras that were supposed to guarantee her safety. But the bigger question remained, how did she know about the passage? And why did she use it? Was she abducted, or had she gone willingly? The plot thickened, twisting into a labyrinth of deception. Miller and Chen followed the trail. The hidden passage led them to a series of old, abandoned warehouses in the industrial district, a part of the city forgotten by time. Inside one of the warehouses, they found a makeshift communication hub. Old computers, encrypted satellite phones, maps of the city, and a single, faded photograph. It was a picture of Isabella, much younger, standing next to a man Miller immediately recognized from intelligence reports, a rival drug lord known as El Fantasma, the Ghost. the pieces began to click into place, forming a picture far more complex and treacherous than a simple abduction. Isabella Vargas was not just a witness. She was a double agent. Her disappearance was not a kidnapping, but a meticulously planned extraction orchestrated by El Fantasma to disrupt El Diablo's trial and, more importantly, to eliminate a key witness who could expose his operations. Isabella had agreed to testify against El Diablo, but only as a means to an end. Her true loyalty lay with El Fantasma, who had promised her protection and a new life in exchange for her silence on his activities and her assistance in weakening El Diablo. The hidden passage, the tremor in the door, the perfect vanishing act, it was all part of a grand deception designed to make her disappear from the federal radar, leaving El Diablo's case in ruins and clearing the path for El Fantasma to expand his empire. The realization hit Miller like a physical blow. They had been played. The federal government, the justice system, all of them pawns in a deadly game of cartel warfare. Isabella Vargas, the victim they sought to protect, was in fact a master manipulator, a ghost within a ghost story. The trial of El Diablo was postponed, then eventually dismissed due to lack of sufficient evidence. He walked free, a smirk playing on his lips, knowing that the system had failed and that a rival had outmaneuvered them all. Isabella Vargas, the woman who entered a hotel room and never left, was now truly gone, swallowed by the shadows she had always inhabited. Her act of vanishing was her ultimate betrayal, a testament to the depths of deception in the criminal underworld. Detective Miller, though frustrated by the outcome, found a strange clarity in the aftermath. The case had taught him a harsh lesson that even in the pursuit of justice, the lines between victim and perpetrator, truth and lies, could blur into an indistinguishable haze. This story, like many in the shadowy world of crime, reminds us that appearances can be deceiving. The most obvious explanation is rarely the true one, and the quietest players often hold the most dangerous secrets. If this tale of intrigue and deception has captivated you, please consider giving it a like. Your support helps us bring more compelling stories to light. What did you think of Isabella's cunning plan? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your theories and insights. And if you want to delve deeper into the mysteries of the human mind and the complexities of crime, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you do not miss our next thrilling narrative. Lessons learned. Trust is a fragile commodity. In high-stakes situations, especially involving informants or witnesses, layers of verification and skepticism are crucial. Even those who seem to be on your side may have hidden agendas. Look beyond the obvious. The most apparent explanation is not always the correct one. Sometimes, the solution lies in the minute details, the anomalies that seem insignificant. The power of deception. Criminal enterprises often rely on elaborate schemes and misdirection. Understanding the psychology of deception is as important as forensic evidence. Every story has multiple sides. What appears to be a clear-cut case of victimhood can sometimes be a calculated maneuver by a skilled manipulator.